Hey everybody, my name's TSW, and in this video I'm going to talk about a poll that I saw from the Lights Hope Twitter saying a Blizzard community manager has indicated that they'd like to see responses filled in this Google form. Please let your voices be heard. So let's jump into this Google poll thing, and we can actually see some thoughts about what potentially could happen on classic servers. Now, this is kind of the first time we're actually getting some real, tangible, just ideas about what could possibly happen on the classic servers. Now, I've just woken up, so sorry if I look a bit crazy, but let's go through this. We'll go through all the questions one by one, and I will kind of give my opinion on them. But by all means, pause the video and just fill the questionnaire out yourself first. I'll put all the links in the description, and you can then, maybe tick all the boxes that you want, then watch the video, see what I say, and then maybe adjust your opinion or keep it the same, whatever. Like, I don't want to influence your vote, but it's kind of fun comparing notes, I think. So, should Maradon be accessible at the start of the server, added in patch 1.2, 1 month and 24 days after the game's release? Now, straight away, one thing I don't like is the way it's just a simple yes or no. There's no maybe, and there's no kind of other input. Like, I don't think it should be released on the start of the server. No. I think it should be released later on, maybe 1 month and 24 days into the game's release. But there's no way for me to convey that on the questionnaire. But again, it needs to be simple and it needs to be easy for people to fill out, because I'm sure they want lots of people to fill it out. Should Dire Maul be accessible at the start of the server, added patch 1.3 3 months later? No, I think it should be added 3 months later. Should Azaragos and Lord Kazakh be accessible at the start of the server, added patch 1.3 3 months after the release? I don't think so. I think it should be released 3 months after release or so. Should Gurubashi Arena be accessible at the start of the server? Nope. I think 4 months after release. They get to patch 1.4 pretty quick. Should Warsong Gulch and Ultra Valley be accessible at the start of the server, added 1.5, 6 months after release? Nope. The thing I really like about having the BGs added later on is it actually really promotes world PvP, because if you're given all the BGs or whatever straight away, you just, there used to be so much. When people talk about vanilla, they talk about Terran Mill and South Shore, like the massive PvP battles that would go on there, and people speak generally very fondly of those battles. That only existed because there weren't battlegrounds that people could actually do. So pre-patch 1.5, people were at South Shore and Terran Mill ripping each other in half. But as soon as battlegrounds came out, and they were able to do honor grinding a bit more structured in an actual battleground, people just did battlegrounds instead. So that's the reason why I'm going for no. And these are the things that I'm saying to have later on in the release is just give us, when you're leveling to 60 or whatever, it's going to take you, most people, a few weeks or a month, let's say. Like, it's nice to just hold the hardcore no life people back slightly, even if it's ever so slightly, just so the game content isn't out there at once. An extreme example would be all game content out at once, including Naxxramas. You'd have the hardcore people, in tier 1, tier 2 by the time the average person is just hitting level 60. And you kind of want to have some sort of artificial wall stopping the really hardcore people from just being able to blast all the way through the game, because then you've only got 6 months worth of game content, whereas if you staggered the release of almost everything, how it was in retail, you actually can go, think of it like a ladder. You're just going a step at a time instead of going in a lift, and you have everything. You just want to go one bit at a time, and just every step is new and refreshing. On private servers, when you have like the patch that adds Maradon, that's cool. Everyone goes Maradon. When you get Die Maul, that's really big because then everyone does Die Maul. There's all these really cool extra things you can do when these patches are out. World PvP before, like loads of world PvP before BGs, and even if you really hate World PvP, it is 6 months, so it is quite a long time before Ultimate Valley and Warsong Gulch. But you're never going to have a time when you don't have BGs. And let's say this server lasts or is popular for, well, it's going to be a Blizzard retail server, so like let's say, well, just random numbers, let's say 10 years. Okay, you have a server that's 10 years, whatever, and 6 months of it has no BGs. That's nothing. And if you're a casual leveler, it takes you a month or maybe two, let's say a month, to be consistent. Let's say it takes you a month to reach level 60. That's 5 months of max level without BGs for like a 10-year lifespan that you're going to play on the server, let's say. So it's not a big amount of time in the grand scheme of things. That's what I'm trying to convey. Should Blackwing Lair be accessible at the start of the server? Added 1.6, 7 months after release? Nope. Again, just to hold back the people who could potentially rush through all the content, because there's nothing worse than having a job and having other commitments and only being able to put in so many hours a week playing WoW, and you're going to get level 60 eventually, maybe like a month or so, probably more than a month thinking about it, but anyway, let's just stick with a month. There's nothing worse than just being a good WoW player and thinking, okay, I want to get into a good raiding guild, I want to do this, that, and the other, and you can't because it's only the no-lifes who can level up in half the time it takes you to level. They're able to farm the pre-raid stuff, twice as long and start raiding twice as early or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's not really that fair in terms of letting everyone have a chance regardless of how many hours they can dedicate to the game. I think I've made that point. I don't think I need to go over that anymore. Should Darkmoon Fair be accessible at the start of the server? Added 1.6. Nope. Again, just to give you some extra flavour later on. Should Zul'Gurub be accessible? No. Again, they're not asking when it should be released. It's just a case of should it be released on launch. And I think you can see a common response I'm having to these. Should Arathi Basin be accessible? Nope. Should Stranglethorn Fishing Extravaganza be accessible? Nope. Should Dragons of Nightmare be accessible? Nope. Should AQ 40, AQ 20? Oh yeah, let's add it. No. Should the war effort be single one-time event per server, or should it be cyclical? This like the war effort is opening up AQ. So if you don't know what that is, it's a server-wide event where you give a load of materials like leather, ore, and stuff to some vendors, and you open the gates of AQ. This is where you get the Scarab Lord title and the Battle Tank mount. Normally this is only once per server in vanilla. There were some, like, people would even change server and open the gates on a fresh server or a different server that hadn't done it yet, just so they could get the exclusive title and mount. Now, this is a very interesting question because obviously my instinct is to say one-time event, but at the same time, I think it would be pretty cool to have the war effort, or at least. But I mean, no one's going to like it. Like, there's not enough information here. Does that mean once every year AQ is going to be walled off? Does this mean once a year you're going to have to plow so many materials into the war effort to unlock the raids? Does that mean that more people are going to be able to get the Scarab Lord Mountain title? It doesn't really say. So it's hard to come up with a good answer. If it's a case of having to do the whole thing again, I think I don't know. It slightly changes things, but I do kind of like the idea of having it be once every 3 months. Like what? um, it doesn't make it very special at that point. And then after 4 years, you've got loads of people rolling around in ultra rare mounts and titles, which wouldn't necessarily be ultra rare at that point. Also, things like spectral tigers, they wouldn't be attainable because that's a trading card game scratch token, unless you could do the legitimate way that you do it on retail, and you could also, instead of inputting your code on retail to get the Swift Spectral Tiger, you could do it on the classic servers for Swift Spectral Tiger. That would be interesting. Or if it's linked to your battle.net, no, that would be retarded for you to have all the mounts. That would be so weird. Like ding, level 40. Okay, get my riding skill, and doom, I've got my Armani Warbear or my Traveler's Tundra Mammoth or something. That'd be stupid. So it's definitely somewhere between one-time event and 1 year, but I'd say it seems like a shame that it's going to be a one-time event, particularly if vanilla classic servers are going to last, 10 plus years. It seems a shame that you'd only be able to do it ever once, but I'm leaning towards once. And it's also a shame if that one person stops playing on the server, because you kind of always want that one person to like represent your server as being the person that banged that gong. Should Naxxramas be accessible at the server start? No. Should cross-realm battlegrounds be implemented? I mean, this they've changed the question. Should cross-realm battlegrounds be implemented? It doesn't say at the start of the server. I don't know if the person making this poll has made a typo, or it's not the questions aren't consistent. So should cross-realm battlegrounds be implemented? Yes. Should they be implemented at the start? I guess patch 1.12 is really, really late into the game. That's like the Naxxramas patch for those. Well, it says here patch 1.11 is Naxxramas. Patch 1.12 is the last big patch before TBC started moving in. So at the moment, vanilla servers play out patch 1.12.1. So that's the very final bit. Should cross-on battlegrounds be implemented? Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'd argue that you wouldn't want to wait until patch 1.12, but again, the question doesn't give you it doesn't give you the before the patch. But yeah, I mean, it's really late in the game, so that's maybe why they didn't do it. But still, should the arena system be added at some point in the life of the classic servers? I mean, again, it's really hard to answer questions like this. It's like voting on Brexit, if any of you guys are aware of that. It's like nobody knows what the outcome is going to be exactly, but you're expected to vote and everyone gets a vote. It's like, well, I don't know. Would it be a good idea to add arena system at some point in the classic server? I think it'd be really fucked up in terms of balance, and you're just not going to have that really streamlined arena experience that I think a lot of people would remember fondly. I mean, as fondly as you can. I mean, it wasn't perfect in TBC, but it's going to be a heck of a lot better in TBC than it is going to be in Classic. So, I mean, when they say arena system, do they mean like rewards, rating, and all that stuff, or do they just mean like a skirmishy area for bragging rights? I'm not really sure. Excuse me. It's hard to say, but I don't think they should, but I think that they could. So I'll say yes, but it's awkward that I can't say don't mind or don't know. It's just yes, add them. Because obviously the person looking at the poll results is going to be like, okay, this person wants arena. When in actual fact, I don't really want arena, but I would want more content to sustain the longevity and of the server. Sure. Would you like to keep dishonorable kills? I think so. So this is when you're killing low-level people. It can be a negative. It can reduce your honor, as far as I'm aware. So that's kind of nice to have. Else, it promotes unfair PvP. Should Blizzard provide additional incentives for world PvP beyond what was in vanilla? I mean, okay, no. I think there's incentive enough. There's enough world PvP going on that I don't think they need to incentivize it further. Like, I've been playing on Lights Hope for a bit, and you get killed a bit. I can accept that. That's fine. What 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 could you add to incentivize more world PvP? I know. Let's scroll the fuck up and not add the BGs. Do you know what I mean? It's like stuff like that. Should Upper Blackrock Spire be a 10-man or a 15-man? Changed to 10 in patch 1.1. I don't know the specifics about what happened when it changed in patch 1.1. I could look them up, but I'm not going to start looking stuff up in the middle of a video. Sorry. This video is going to last long enough. Do they change the values of the mobs and stuff? But either way, I'm down for 15 manning that shit. The more the merrier. Generally. Should Stratholme and Scholomance be 5-man or 10-man dungeons? Changed to 5 in patch 1.1. I like the idea of 10-man, particularly early on. Like if you've just dinged level, if the values stay the same, which I think that they do, but don't quote me. It's really nice that once you ding level 60, and you have really garbage gear, garbage gear. Like you can barely, kill 2 level 60s at once. Garbage gear, let alone elites. So as soon as you ding 60, being able to actually, if you can, rustle up the extra 14 people, you can actually do a Upper Blackrock Spire without having to, farm Blackrock Depths and all these other instances and quests to get you that sweet pre-raid gear, and then you can do Stratholme and Upper Blackrock Spire to really fine-tune your gear. You can just go with garbage gear and really rely on the RPG elements and play with more people or MMO elements, whichever you want to call upon. But I think that you should be rewarded for more people generally. That's my take. Like, if you're like, for example, on some TBC servers I play on, so I'm a TBC guy if you guys don't know. If you're doing the arena in Nagrand, can't remember what it's called, on a server that's just been released, it's a 5-man group quest, and you're not going to be able to do it with people leveling. Everyone's like level 66, and you have no one spec tank and no one spec healer. You can't 5-man that stuff at level 66. So what you do is you get 10 people together or so, 5 people in one party, 5 people in another party, and one party does the quests, the other party helps. So you're effectively 10 manning that group quest. And then the first 5 people who do all the quests stay, and the second 5 people of the second group start the quest chain. they do it, and the first team helps them. So you're effectively 10 manning it twice. So it's really rewarding when you're able to come together as a force and really uh, kill some really hard to kill bosses at the time. I like that. It's fun. The sun is starting to come in, so let's try and. Oh my god, I'm like halfway. Would you like to see classic expansions implemented at some time? Yes. I mean, it's a really tough question because it depends how they do it and what kind of ideas and thoughts they have. But I really do like the idea of classic being something more than just as we remember it. Like they can't rush this stuff. Like they can't just run in and like crush it. Like no, don't. Yes, my answer is yes. Should classic expansions increase the level cap or remain at 60? Oh, this is a really tough question because like you don't know. It's a really hard question because like the disadvantage of keeping it level 60 is you're gonna have people, if this continues and continues, assuming that the gear would increase and keep getting better the next gear, you're going to run into a situation where people are just going to be running around with like 50% crit or 40% crit, and you're going to be able to flash of light someone to full HP, and you're going to never have mana problems. You're going to be able to one-shot people with auto attack or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like you get to a stage where the game starts to cannibalize itself, and you just get these crazy situations that perhaps weren't intended, like like Sunwell in TBC, when the tanks, for example, were able to get so much avoidance they could basically not get hit ever by a melee attack. Um, in Sunwell, that there was an aura that reduced your dodge by 20% and increased the mob's chance to hit by 5%. So straight away, cut your bullshit. You're gonna get hit. Don't stack avoidance. You're gonna get hit. Um, so that creates a bit of clunkiness to the raids and what have you, and that's really. I mean, it worked okay in Sunwell, as far as I'm concerned, but it's not ideal. Like it's like, oh, we fucked up, so we're acknowledging we fucked up, which is a good thing. Acknowledging mistakes is perfectly fine. But nonetheless, couldn't you have foreseen this? And obviously, going forward, the people producing these classic servers, are, you've got how many expansions down the road of like information to look at? I think they'd probably do a decent job. So just thinking out loud there, I like it doesn't matter for me. It doesn't matter really. It doesn't really matter. I'll I'll put increased level cap. I think it'd be fun to have like level 63 be like an expansion or something, or maybe like I don't know, like level 63A, level 63B, and you work your like or like Paragon levels or something. So you're essentially level 60. Like there's a lot of like different things they could do with letting you go even further into vanilla or out of retail vanilla. But I'll put increased level cap just because it's a hard one, I think. Should classic expansions use other continents, or should all new zones be part of existing continents? Existing continents. One reason for playing Vanilla WoW is like we love the area. Stick to the area. Would you like to see inaccessible zones in Azeroth and Eastern Kingdoms be accessible zones in the future? Yeah, as long as they don't do a shitty high gel area. Would you like to see new raids and dungeons added that were hinted at during vanilla but never implemented, such as Grim Batol, Uldum, Hyjal? I'd prefer it if they didn't specifically do Grim Batol, Uldum, Hyjal, etc. I wish that they would do unique ones like Ashara, um, and all sorts. Like Ashara, there's a big door that kind of goes towards Hyjal, but if that could go somewhere else, and there's all sorts of things they could do. So not specifically, not Grim Batol, Uldum, Hyjal. So no, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about the hinting. Like I don't know much about the WoW lore at all. So was it only the raids that we got, such as Grimbatol, Uldum, Hyjal, Uldum, that were hinted upon? Were there extra ones or something else that was hinted upon? Because I don't want to do essentially recycled shit. Like, could you imagine? Oh, look, we're having a classic expansion or a classic custom content essentially at the end. Here's Hyjal. Oh, it's fucking TBC Hyjal, but level 60. Uh, wow, how imaginative of you. This is like, uh, what raids have they re-released? What's that thing when that you could go back into Black Temple? Like on retail, there's a thing where you could go and do Black Temple at max level, but you'd scale down. It's that, but scaling up or whatever. Like you're scaling the dungeon down instead of you being scaled down. Time warping? No, I don't know. I don't know what it's called. But yeah, I mean the idea, yes. So I'll just put yes. Should new raid and dungeon item drops remain at or below Naxxramas level? I mean, I think ultimately go beyond, but it's hard. Obviously, they're going to need to look into the results, but go beyond as long as you're above level 60. Or else then the stats just get a bit silly. Like at the end of TBC, or end of most expansions, the stats can get pretty silly. If Blizzard offers a TBC server, would you like the ability to... Yes! Yes! Excuse me. Yeah. I like TBC. Oh, that went down the wrong way a bit. I got a bit too much of a bit too enthusiastic of a gulp there. Excuse me. The sunlight is coming right on my monitor, so I'm glad I'm not using the shiny, glossy monitor. I'm using the matte monitor, so I can actually see. Classes were balanced throughout vanilla. Next joke. Should class talents be in their earlier state or later state throughout Classic? Added across many patches. I think it would be fun and give longevity. And again, it's like walking up the ladder versus going up the lift, or as the NAs say, the elevator. Um, I think it'd be really fun, particularly for people who have played vanilla private servers. No private servers done this level of patch by patch progression. It's just here's patch 1.12.1, boom. But we're just going to disable these raids that went out at the time. We're going to make these items not drop. We're going to exclude these quests, etc. They don't say, okay, let's well, because it takes so much more effort, and obviously Blizzard could potentially do this, is boom, the very original launch day talents. As fucked up as they may be, it does give you something to, wait on, or it just gives you extra stuff like changes. It's like, yeah, your spells are slightly different, your talents are slightly different, and then each patch they get tweaked a bit until eventually they get to the most balanced stage of patch 12.1. So that's cool. I like that. Although having said that, I didn't play retail vanilla. So I don't know how bad they were, but I think it would be fun just to have that extra sense of, more steps of the ladder across more areas. So obviously you have the raids coming out incrementally, different steps on that ladder. You've got the talents getting incrementally more balanced. You've got the talent ladder. You've got all sorts, like the PvP ladder, the different battlegrounds coming out at different times. You've got all sorts of different incremental changes, which mean that the game always stays kind of fresh. There's always different stuff coming, and I think that means that you're going to have more subs and more people sticking around. Yeah. Would you like to see Blizzard periodically balance classes in the future? Does this mean after patch 1.12.1? Excuse me. Does that mean once you're above level 60? Does this mean, what does this mean? Well, obviously it means what it says. Do they want to balance classes in the future? Could you because it depends. Because one aspect is, they just make very minor tweaks to make the game still vanilla, still can't play Moonkin, but they make the game. I don't know. I don't think they could do it and it be successful in the retail timeline for vanilla. But I think it's potential that they could do it if they increase the level above 60 or if they add, extra content after Nax. But this is a strong point. I would hate it so much if they said, okay, the next let's just say random dungeon, we're releasing Hyjal as new content after Naxxramas. We're also going to apply a patch. Moonkins now do 5 times as much damage and have 200% better mana regen, so that they become viable. We've got, Shadow Priests can do better damage and they give more buffs to the raid. We've got fucking elemental shaman, enhancement shaman. We've got different specs of rogues. We've got paladin tanks. We've got druid tanks. And it's like, no, no, no. Don't pull that bullshit on us. Like, there's a lot of stuff regarding vanilla that makes vanilla vanilla. And as soon as you start periodically balancing classes, you can fuck it up so easily. So I think that they could make the game ultimately better by periodically balancing classes, but periodically balancing classes can also fuck the game up. So I'll trust Blizzard and say yes, and I'll hope that the poll results are interpreted in a way that my yes reflects on, wanting above 60 stuff and whatever. Like, periodically means throughout, but I don't want it to be from day one balancing. Like, fuck, I'm just gonna hit no, because fuck, I don't like. Okay, I don't trust Blizzard to be like, okay, so we're just gonna release, it's launch day, and now it's the day after launch day. That's a period of time. So that's like throughout. That's defining periodically. So they could just like change stuff and then keep changing stuff. And it's like, no, just leave it as it is. Okay. Would you like to see additional classes viable at tanking? No. 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 Not unless, I mean, eventually maybe like 3 vanilla expansions in, but I don't think this is what this question is addressing or whatever. Like, no. I think it'd be fun to have like a specific boss encounter or 2, kind of how paladins were in TBC. They weren't tanking a lot, but I think it's cool the odd encounter when it makes sense. But for the purposes of this, like I'm not just going to hit yes because that's a trail of destruction potentially, and no is a much safer response. So I'm going to say no, just to retain the classic experience. Should Battle Masters exist to queue into BGs added patch 1.6, or should players have to run to the BG entrance to queue? I think they should run to the portal until they release patch 1.6. But you don't have that option. You say run to the BG portal. So for those of you who don't know, like Warsong Gulch, for the Alliance, the the entrance to Warsong Gulch is in Ashenvale, and Ultrat Valley is in not Hinterlands, the one south of Hinterlands, above West Wetlands. Anyway, you have to run to the actual zone where the BG was. It's basically like an instance with a NPC that you would queue with instead of going to a city or whatever. So you had to travel a long way to get to your BG. But if excuse me, if BGs are getting added in patch 1.5, which is what I've indicated, I think at patch 1.6 you should be able to queue up at the Battle Master. But the answers to this poll question is yes, keep Battle Masters. So if I say yes, keep Battle Masters, like no, I say run to the portal until patch 1.6. But you could interpret this answer as run to the BG portal as always run to the BG portal. No, I don't want to always run to the BG portal. I want there to be a 0.1 patch window where you get to experience running to the BG portal, but not indefinitely, which is what this answer could be interpreted as. Anyway, I need to speed things up, I think. Would you like to see dual specialization offered? No. Would you like, just because it loses the feel of vanilla, would you like to see guild banks offered in vanilla? I think it's a really, really good idea to have guild banks in WoW, but I think it does detract from the vanilla experience. It's one of those things like you can always create more bankers as long as you don't have a shitload of alts. Like one thing with private servers now is because it's free to play, you can just create more accounts. You could have like 10 characters per account or something. So you could have 10 accounts and 100 characters. All of those could be bankers. All of those have the default bank space, and you have a shitload of bank space. You just have to keep relogging on different characters to access it. But if you're having to pay a subscription, you're only really gonna have one account, or the vast majority of people are going to have one account. I guess the hardcore people would probably pay for multiple accounts. But anyway, you can have one account, and you're going to have, if you're leveling alts and whatever. I think I'm going to sneeze. If I do, I'll try and mute my mic. But you don't have the ability to create a lot of bankers for a lot of bank space, so it's kind of nice to have extra bank space. But I'm going to hit no, because it does lose a bit of the sense of vanilla, but I think enough people will press yes that we might get something. But it's not a big deal. Like, I don't think it's a big deal. So I'd be like on a maybe to no. Like out of 10, I'd be like a 4 or 3 on how enthusiastic am I for them to implement it. Would you like to have personal bank sizes expanded to prevent the need for multiple alts? I think so, but only slightly. Like, they don't need to double the bank space, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe as you level past 60 or something, add in a bit. Yeah, I love having a lot of items. I love the customization of WoW. I love having, 4 different shields. I like having 4 different pieces per slot for tanking. So each of them do something slightly different, like a block set, an HP set, a avoidance set, a threat set. Then my DPS set without hit, my DPS set with crit, my DPS set with like all sorts of different things, my different trinkets for all the different things. Then my items that are just for fun, and then my set bonuses from the old set bonuses if I want to use some of those. So all of a sudden, you need 70 bank slots for that. Would you prefer a lower maximum respec cost? This was never offered in vanilla. No, I don't think so. No, because it wouldn't be vanilla. The whole thing about vanilla is like you need to offer like blood. You need to like offer a blood sacrifice almost to respec. Like respecing was a big deal. Like if you're a tank, you're a tank. If you're a healer, you're a healer. If you're a DPS, you're a DPS. None of this. Whoa! Now I'm a healer. Whoa! Now I'm a tank. Whoa! Now I'm a healer again. Like no, in the same sense that racials and the lore and the looks and the animations give each race its race identity. I think it's really fun to give players their spec identity, if you will. So if you make it fairly challenging, unless you're putting in the work, you're rewarding people who put in the effort to be able to respec more easily. Good on them. It's a really nice, the good players won't be complaining as much as the bad players generally, because the bad players will see 50 gold as being, whew, that's a lot of money. And the good players, presumably with money, will be like, okay, there's 50 gold, let me respec. Like it's worth more to them the flexibility than it is the upfront gold, which I think is a good mechanic. I like it. Because it makes respecking rewarding, even though it costs a lot. When it does, like it's like vanilla leveling. It's hard, but it's rewarding. Respecking costs a lot, but it's rewarding. I wouldn't mind having like the preview of the talents, like they added in Cataclysm, where you would spec and then hit apply. So if you misclicked, you wouldn't be fuck. I misspent 1 talent point, so now I can't get shield slam. Fuck. 50 gold. Do it again. Would you like to see flying mounts? No. No. Would you like Dungeon Finder? No. Raid Finder? No. Would you like to have meeting stones be available for teleportation? No. Should just I I don't think I need to express myself. It just gets rid of the vanilla identity. Like no. The whole point of vanilla is you get your ass to the instance. Should auction houses exist in every capital city? Uh, Excuse me. I don't mind. I don't feel strongly either way. Ultimately, I think they should be in every capital city, as it was in patch 1.9. But I don't have strong feelings either way. It's a really it's you got to think of like if it's quality of life and gameplay, go for gameplay. Like who cares about it being easy? But if you want to have a successful auction house, like that's a very crucial part of the game. Um, but also you can very easily just circumvent having just Ogrimmar be your horde auction house. Just make a level 1 alt, sit them in Ogrimmar, mail the stuff to that character. Wow, like it's not hard to get around. I don't feel strongly either way, really. I'll put every capital city just because it doesn't make a difference. Like, okay, fuck it. Let's say just Orgrimmar Ironforge, but then it's just going to be a lag fest, and it's going to be just a shitload of people. I don't know. Again, don't feel strongly either way. How long is this video? 45 minutes. Are you serious? Should auction houses be the same faction? Should auction houses of the same faction be linked? Yeah. I think it's without it linking. I think it just creates a really bizarre game system. Like, I don't think that gives much. Like, yeah, you'll have some people wanting to, make gold and exploit the fact that they can track different auction listings, but I don't think as a whole it makes the game better. I think it just makes the game like it's fun, I suppose, to have different things. So, but all it is you just log a different level 1 banker, one of them at Orgrimmar, another one at Undercity, another one at Thunderbluff. I'll get there in the end. So instead of checking one auction house, you're checking 3. Um, and all you need to do is make a level 1 undead, run it there. Make a level 1 Tauren, run it there. Make a level 1 orc or troll, run it to the city. Like, it's almost more work for the sake of more work. But I don't feel that strongly either way. Should additional flight pass be added? I don't think so. Should flight pass be linked? I think in patch 1.1, but I can't have that. Like, say no. Does that mean that flight pass are always going to be unlinked? I think it'd be really cool to have a period of time, however, a month or so until patch 1.1 hit in retail. I think it'd be fun. I've never played the game where flight pass haven't been linked. Let's please see what it's like. Even if it's annoying, it'll only be annoying for a month or so. If it sticks to the retail timeline in terms of length. What level should be required for non-epic mount? 40. There's no other answer here. Like, if you want the mount any earlier, it's just a case of give me more stuff now. Give me more stuff now. Okay, we won. We got mounts early. Okay, give me more damage. Reduce the XP rate. Reduce the XP rate. Like, it's the beginning of the end. No. Should loot be pick upable automatically without having to click the item in the window? I mean, don't you just hold down shift? Loot had to be clicked in the loot window to be pick up in vanilla. I don't really understand this because you can just hold down shift. So you can already auto loot, so auto loot. I'm a bit confused by that question because on the vanilla servers that I play on, albeit private servers, you just hold down shift. Should raids have dungeon timers? Added 1.9. So this is like how the dungeons reset. Like, is it like 2 hours or something? Like trash will respawn or whatever. I think this is what this is getting at. I don't know how it worked beforehand. Like, could you reset a dungeon and what have you? I don't know. So when you enter an instance and you're in there for ages and then you're wiping, it takes ages, and then the trash starts respawning. I think that's the dungeon timers. Again, I'm not that sure. I'm gonna say yes, just because it's kind of like the default answer. Because that's what I'm used to in obviously playing later than patch 1.9. But I think that's a good like question to like go more in depth on, maybe like learn a bit more about what the consequences could be. Should molten core be accessible only through black rock depths or accessible via window teleportation added in 1.3? I think ultimately through the window when 1.3 hits, but only until 1.3. But again, I don't get the opportunity to do that. So if I say through window 2, and 90% of people say through window 2, does that mean we'll get it at 1.3? I'll say only through the fucking BRD, because presumably that'll change at 1.3. Fuck, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to answer this question to convey my my thoughts. Should vanilla style wall walking be permitted to explore content otherwise inaccessible? I think no. I mean, I never did any of that stuff, and although like it's not, I don't know, like I think no. But was it? I mean, were you? How many people actually got banned by Blizzard for wall walking? Like, it wasn't. I don't know. Like, it's not a. Not like hardly anyone got in trouble for wall walking. I know this is a tough one. This is one where I don't really mind, but I have to pick yes or no. So I'll pick no, but I don't really mind. Should this wall walking be permitted in battlegrounds? I think no, just because you want it to be as accessible and make as much sense as possible. Should donations of different types of cloth be permitted to increase reputation of a given faction? Yes, but only later on, although I can't convey that. Should weather effects be implemented? Yes, but not until patch 1.1, although I can't show that. What leveling rate would you prefer? There's no other answer, in my opinion. It wouldn't be vanilla if it wasn't ×1. Would you, we can see the end, woohoo. Would you like an option to pay an additional £15 a month to double your XP rate? Fuck off. I think this is like just a troll question. It's like, do you work for EA or something? Would you like an option to display updated graphics for later expansions? So, are they saying we're not getting updated graphics for Classic as it would launch up until Nax? Would I like an option? Would I like an option? I mean, if I can turn it on, like basically saying, would you like the choice to change your graphics? Yeah, I'd like the choice. I don't think I'm going to use them, but if you're going to give me the choice, maybe there's a 1% chance that the graphics would be better or cooler, then sure, give me the choice. But I wouldn't want, all the normies from retail to be like, oh yeah, just turn on all the graphics and make it look like retail, because then it's not vanilla. I mean, sure, I'd like the choice, but I highly doubt that I'm going to use the extra graphics. So I'll say no. Also, it's really good for expansion identity. For example, I was talking about the races and the classes, whatever. Um, it's really nice if you're watching a stream or a YouTube video where you can tell that's classic, that's retail. It's really easy to distinguish the two. And I think having the graphics and the animations and your character look physically different is a really good way of doing that. Would you like to see an option to increase terrain visibility beyond the default found in vanilla? Vanilla had a value of 777. This later increased to 4K in Wrath Lich King later. No. I mean, it's fun to have these extra options, but as I don't think I'm going to use them, I'd rather have other people not be able to use them. which is really selfish, I know, but I'm being selfish by answering a lot of these questions. Like, would I like the option to have extra graphic stuff? Sure. If you're saying, you know, here's some soup, there's the bowl of soup, or pick your choice of soup, the different kinds. You know, the default is tomato, and I'm happy with tomato soup. I like tomato soup, but I've got all these other types of soup, like carrot and coriander, ham and pea, whatever. Um, I want to fucking see the options, but I'll probably still go with a tomato soup because I like tomato soup. Let's say the TSW analogy makes it into the last questions of the poll. You know it, but I know what I'm probably going to stick with, tomato soup, but show me the fucking others, which is, yes, show me this extra shit, but I'm not going to use them. But at the same time, I don't want to be stuck having tomato soup, sit down at a table and I see everyone else around me with all their other crazy soups. And it's like, why can't, like, what's wrong with tomato soup? That's a really weird analogy. But I mean, fuck it, I've spent 56 minutes. Holy fuck. Okay, it's been sent. If you made it to the end of the video, I don't know what to say. Like, you must really want to play some classic WoW if you made it to the end of the video. If you made it to the end of the video, fucking, I don't know, spam all caps in chat as a response. Let me know that you made it to the end of the video. Thumbs up, subscribe, more WoW content here and there. I've been TSW. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.